Women podcast. For your career and your life, no matter what business you're in.
Hello and welcome to the Northern Power Women podcast Power Up season. I'm your host, Simone, and in this season, we are bringing you advice, guidance, top tips and takeaways to further your career, no matter what business you're in. I've been speaking to amazing role models across the Northern Power Women community, and this week is no different. I'm joined by the wonderful Michelle Forward of BNY Mellon. Michelle is director responsible for leading Treasury Services global client support teams and was added to our Northern Power Women Power List in 2018. Can't believe where's the time gone? And that recognises leaders and change agents who are making a difference and having continued impact. Michelle is a member of the Manchester site leadership team and is also a career coach for the site, senior sponsor of the BNY Mellon's Manchester Prism chapter, and Gen Edge BRG mentor and a member of the Women's Initiative Network. Whew. Michelle, I don't know how you found the time to fit it all in, but thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Simone. Lovely to be here.
Let's dive straight in. When we were putting this Power Up season together, I was really mindful of those topics that we wanted to talk about that we could, if you like, pass on, those conversations that we could, start, share with others and enable other people to learn and be generous with their skills. So when we talked about mentoring and paying it forward, you absolutely jumped up because we had a conversation in your office in Piccadilly Gardens. Do you remember the office, Michelle?
Just about, vaguely, in a distant memory.
Oh, but you spoke so passionately about mentoring, and you've been part recently of our virtual mentoring program where we had 150 people that we matched, 75 pairs. And I think there's always something really positive about the power of mentoring, no matter which way that you look at it. So let's dive straight in. Tell us about a couple of your mentors and the qualities that they had and the impacts that they made on you and your career and your life.
Sure, Simone. Yeah, well, I reflecting on my mentors in the past over my career, I would say, they've really had a significant impact. And that's really been around enabling me to see different perspectives. And I think more importantly, just providing that really safe environment, that really safe relationship for me to be very open and candid with frustrations I may have had or hurdles that I'm facing. And I've been so fortunate to have some really great mentors. They've all kind of had different qualities. But when I try and think about what's the, common quality that they've all had, it's definitely been this passion for driving through change and really challenging the status quo. Personally, I can be quite direct in my character, and the mentors have really helped me and coached me to get my point of view across, to do it with passion and with enthusiasm, but also to do it with professionalism and grace. And the constructive feedback that they've given me has been so valuable. I've been so appreciative of the time that they've taken to give me that very open feedback. And it's definitely helped me to build credibility with each new role I've undertaken and to be successful. So, yeah, I absolutely have benefited from having mentors throughout my career, no doubt.
Absolutely. I always think mentoring is about, being the best version of yourself as well. It's not necessarily being the best retailer or financier or lawyer. I think it is looking at that individual, isn't it? I think. And are there any specific pieces along your career journey of which is so full and so diverse? Is there anything sort of particularly that you could pick out and go, that was a real standout for me, that a mentor made me sort of step over that line or, the comfort zone, if you like? Are there any real kind of nuggets there or any big impact stories? Yeah,
definitely. When I was wanting to go for promotion, I'm really not believing that I was ready. I had a really, really great manager who kept saying to me, Michelle, you're definitely ready. Go for the promotion. We really want you in that role. But I don't know why, but I just didn't feel confident. So I sought out a mentor, somebody that had gone up the career ladder very quickly, someone that I admired because, they seemed to be very successful in their role. They were female as well, which helped because at the time it was unusual to have senior managers in those positions. And so I reached out to her and explained to her the situation. And she was really, really great. And she said, sometimes you just have to take this leap of faith. You have to have courage. You have to be brave. But tell me, Michelle, what is your actual concern? And she really helped me to focus on why I was a little afraid, why I just didn't want to take this leap of faith. And she really gave me the kind of courage and self-belief to do it. So I took the plunge and kind of never looked back. But really having her say to me, but what is it that's holding you back, really helped me to focus. So that was a real breakthrough moment for me, and has really helped me on my journey since then. When I've had those moments of self-doubt, is to really try and understand myself. Why am I have these feelings of self-doubt? What's holding me back? So she turned out to be a really great mentor for me.
And do you think everyone has what it takes to be a mentor? What if they're not, they haven't got masses of experience, or they're at the top of their game?
Sure. No, I think anybody can be a mentor, because it can be a friend, a family member, a colleague. I think as long as the person's willing to listen, to share their skills and their knowledge and their expertise, then yes. And no doubt mentoring does require time and commitment. And I don't think it should be taken lightly. But essentially, you're part of someone's support network as a mentor. So I think, you should ensure that you can commit the time. But absolutely, anybody can be a mentor. It can be fun. It can be very interesting, but very, very rewarding. But I think, certainly a mentor can be anybody in any field, in any industry. And I think some people automatically think that a mentor needs to be somebody who's more senior. But I spend quite a bit of time with my niece. She does reverse mentoring. I kind of tap into her psyche, if you like, to understand what it's like to, join a different company, to operate in a virtual environment at the moment. And she's been really, really helpful to kind of mentor me, but in that kind of reverse mentoring way. So I think, as long as you've got a passion for helping people and you're able to commit the time, absolutely anybody can be a mentor.
Yeah, and we've worked with you, haven't we, over the past year with Bank of New York, as part of the carousel events that we've done, where we've either spoken to people at the start of their careers or people who are undergrads, pre-work adults. And I think the feedback that we've got from these speed date carousels is that you can gain as much as you give in those sessions, I think. And you've talked about that reverse mentoring. I think often these conversations can be so powerful because they work both ways, don't they? Why would you encourage someone to be a mentor?
Yeah, I think, you're right, Simone. Mentoring does give you different insights. It enables you to get different perspectives as well yourself. So as well as offering different perspectives, you're also getting information and different perspectives back from other people. So absolutely. I think, there's that real benefit in mentoring, and not just within your own industry, but certainly cross sector. But there's definitely benefits in being a mentor. And I can't stress enough how rewarding it is when you see someone develop, when you see someone achieve their goals, when you see someone blossom. It gives you such a real good feel factor. It's very, very rewarding just to know that you're potentially making a difference to somebody else's life. So, I think also as a mentor, you have this opportunity to keep strengthening your skills. You're trying to embed and share your knowledge with someone else. And I think it just helps you to keep practicing those muscles. But for me, it's such a rewarding experience just to know that you're potentially helping someone, change their life. It's an incredible experience sometimes.
I think they can shape you in so many ways. On a previous series of the Northern Power Women podcast, Sam Walker, our producer, we're having this conversation. And she suddenly said, "Do you know what? I've never had a mentor." And I know, I couldn't believe it. And because I absolutely advocate, as you do, that, for having a mentor or being a mentor. And it was almost about that, couldn't find the time or didn't know where to start. So what are those sort of top tips, if you like? What are the top tips for, making that time, identifying what you need and where to find one from?
Sure. So I think it's fair to say that not all mentors are created equal. Mentors can offer different skills, different experience and knowledge. And I guess for anyone who's looking for a mentor, I think it's really important to understand, what is it that you want to get out of the relationship? What's your objective? Have you got a particular hurdle, a particular problem? Is it that you just don't know what to do next in your career? It can be anything really, but just to really try and understand yourself and crystallize what it is that you want to get out of that relationship. And then I think, look around you, we all have people that we admire, whether it's someone that's a great public speaker, whether it's someone who's a fantastic project manager, someone who's a really great leader. But I think, just have a look around you and see who you admire, and then reach out informally. Just explain, that you're looking for a mentor, what you're hoping to get out of the relationship. Have that informal conversation, so that they understand what you're looking for. And then if they're happy, to enter into that mentoring relationship, then just drive that relationship, booking the meetings, set the agenda. And I think it's important to also realise that, and certainly this has been true in my career, that sometimes a mentoring relationship just ends, for whatever reason, it might come to an end. And I think just be respectful around that. Have the conversation to say, I really appreciate all the advice and the support that you've given me, but now I'm ready to kind of move on, close that loop. And it might be that you need a different type of mentor because you're in a different space, different part of your career. And in fact, you can have more than one mentor. But yeah, at the end of the day, to me, it's free advice. It's up to you whether you take that advice or not. But why wouldn't you take something free from very experienced, knowledge people, or just from colleagues and friends to give you that different perspective?
Brilliant. I just think that's brilliant advice and really practical, isn't it? Set the boundaries, really crystallize what it is that you want from the relationship, not just for the sake of it, because it's all about time as well, isn't it? And energy. Just the basics of setting an agenda. Set an agenda for what you want. And I couldn't agree more about that life, having that start and end, so that then you can negotiate between yourselves. If you're like, that's why we do it on the 12-week program. We sort of say, here's a start and an end. And if you choose, many relationships will go on and on for many years. Some, like you say, I think that's top tip. Close the loop when it's time to close the loop.
And I think don't be frightened to reopen it. There's people that, I've had a really great mentoring relationship with. I've been the mentee, and also I've been the mentor, and I haven't heard from somebody for a couple of years because they flourish, they're really happy. Something happens and then they say, hi, Michelle, how are you? Haven't been in touch for a couple of years, but, I could really do with some help and advice. And, because I just love that, paying it forward, always happy to find time for somebody, because I know that I've benefited from that as well, reaching out to somebody that, I may not have spoken to for 18 months, for 2 years. And they've always been very gracious to say, yeah, anything I can do to help, because they're part of my network, and they understand that I'm part of their network. And same for me as a mentor. I always say that to mentees, if you ever need to reach out, I'm always here. You've got this relationship, use it. You might not use it for another year or so, but as long as I'm around, I'm here, and keep that relationship alive as and when you need to.
Absolutely. I think that's brilliant. And just one very final quick question. I think there's always a challenge around confidence, and you've got somebody now who's listened to this podcast who thinks, oh gosh, I'd love to ask someone. And I can see people around me, but I've just got that confidence issue in the way. What's that one thing that you would say to say, ask me? Not just you, Michelle, you might get bombarded, but what's that one thing that you would get someone out there confident to say, ask?
The question that they might not want to ask, but I say ask. I think one of the common questions that I get is people say, I love my job, but I want to move on. I want to do something different. And they're frightened of asking that, because they believe, I think, when I've analysed it with them, is that they feel they're being disloyal. They feel that they're almost being a little bit selfish, putting themselves forward, So sometimes mentees reach out to me and they're not really clear about what they want. And I say, why have you opened up this relationship, or why have you come back to me? Well, I'm very happy in my job. And I say, so what's the point of this conversation? And then eventually it's, I want to move on, but I don't know how to tell my manager. I don't know how to tell my teammates, but I really do feel that I want to move on. But I think, the mentoring relationship, is a safe environment. Just be brave, ask the question. And if there's something that you really, truly want to keep confidential, just set those boundaries, as we said before, and make that very, very clear. But just ask the question, because, you never know, you might get a really brilliant golden nugget response, and it might set you up for even more success. Go for it.
Brilliant. And thank you for those golden nuggets this week, Michelle. So great to pass on this information. So thank you so much. Please do keep enjoying the conversation going on our Northern Power Women podcast at Northern Power Women on Twitter, at Northern Power Women on our socials. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you at podcast@northernpowerwomen.com. Join me here next week when I'll be joined by Liverpool Football Club's newly appointed Senior Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Manager, Rishi Jain, and we'll be chatting all about the importance of being an agent of change and advocate as we build forward better. I'm Simone Roche, and you've been listening to a Northern Power Women podcast, Power Up Season, a What Goes On Media production.